fellow cinema enthusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reelz movie review. Today is my segment I like to call What's on Netflix, where I tell you what is on Netflix that maybe you've never heard of before or maybe has a low rating. Today I am reviewing the movie Camp Takota, which is a movie that I have been dying to review ever since I started What's on Netflix, and it stars my three favorite YouTubers, and the reason this whole channel exists: Grace Helbig, Hannah Hart, and Mamrie Hart. Camp Takota starts off with this girl, Elise, played by Grace Helbig. She has the perfect life, or so she thinks. She's getting married to a really hot guy named Jeff, played by YouTuber Chester C. And they're engaged, and she's got this great job at a publishing company, and she actually finished writing a novel, a YA novel called Unlock My Heart, about a Loch Ness monster and a teen wolf. I believe that's what it's about. She explains it later in the movie. And one day at work, there is this popular author played by another YouTuber, Sawyer Hartman, and all the girls are crazy about him, and the publisher tells Elise, alright, you're in charge of taking the pictures, you're in charge of uploading them, you're in charge of the questions. After the author's event with some of his fans, Elise and a co-worker happen to catch the publisher and the author furiously making out in a stairwell, and the co-worker takes pictures, which Elise then accidentally uploads onto Facebook, and then that turns into Elise getting fired. So it's the middle of the day, Elise goes home and she finds Jeff home in his boxers with 2 glasses of water, and out walks Jeff's really hot coworker Vanessa, and Elise gets so upset and she goes back to her old apartment and just drinks to her heart's content until she face plants it in the sofa. What kicks off this whole story of Camp Takota that I did not mention was that Elise runs into her old camp counselor, and the counselor was like, oh, you can come back anytime you want, you're a Takota girl, I would love to see you back. And as a counselor, and drunken Elise, before she passed out, started calling the counselor and was like, hey, I'm gonna come back to camp. And then the next morning someone comes and picks her up and drives her to Camp Takota, and her 2 best friends from camp, Allison, played by Hannah Hart, and Maxine, played by Mamrie Hart, are still working there. And at first Elise is like, she's so over everything, she's really grumpy, very not happy. And then she meets a guy that has property near the camp and grows the food for the camp. Eli is his name. And she falls in love with him and likes him, and then it's like, oh, camp is so great, I'm so happy. And of course there's drama that comes along. All 3 girls have to have a falling out, and then they come back together, and another plot of the story is that Camp Takota might be closing, so they all have to get together and help the camp not to close. And they do that, of course, because it's like a chick flick movie, and it's got a little bit of a predictable storyline, but for the most part, Camp Takota is a very fun movie. When I first watched Camp Takota back in December of 2014, I had only been a fan of Grace, Mamrie, and Hannah, aka the Holy Trinity, for about 2 weeks. I know, I am very behind. And I had just finished writing my graduate thesis the day before, and I was really burned out. I was so exhausted. I had the day off from work, and I'm like, alright, let's see what's on Netflix. And I was scrolling through and I'm like, oh hey, those are the girls from YouTube, they act. I'm like, let's see how this goes. And it wasn't that bad. It, like I said, it's stereotypical, the story. Like, I had it figured out pretty much from the beginning, and their acting is so-so. Mamrie is definitely the trained out of the 3 of them. Grace has done a little bit of acting here and there before that, and Hannah, I don't think I'd ever really done anything, so I feel bad that their acting wasn't as great, but it wasn't like, oh my god, turn this off now, shield my eyes, this is wicked. They were themselves, pretty much, and I've watched Camp Takota about like 7 more times after that, and I've watched so many of their videos between each of those 7 times, and it's so much fun to go back and watch Camp Takota each time because you're like, oh, that's from that video, and like just see their personalities. Like it's all one big like inside joke and kind of like inside thing with the fandom. Like there's one part where Elise and Maxine are sitting outside of one of the buildings on the campground, and Maxine gets up and she sticks the middle finger behind her back and she's walking away going like this to Elise, and that's actually from one of Grace's videos for her podcast, Not Too Deep, and there's like certain other jokes here and there. Hannah throws in a lot of puns for Allison, and Mamrie's got a lot of like the way her inflections that she does on My Dad, and it's just so much fun. I enjoyed Camp Takota, and I still enjoy it every time I watch it, even though I'm kind of like, ooh, like, you know, I see its flaws, but its flaws make it fun and unique, and just for the fandom, you know, that's what it was made for. It was made for the fandom, for us to freak out over and just to enjoy Grace, Mamrie, and Hannah. So I will always have fond memories of Camp Takota being my first movie after working literally day and night for months and months on my graduate thesis. And I'm so happy it was, and I'm glad I have memories of this movie being the first movie I actually got to sit down in my pajamas in my bed to watch and not have to worry about anything. And I laughed, I had a good time. So that was my review of Camp Takota. If you liked my review / rambling of Camp Takota in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below if you have seen Camp Takota, if you're a huge Holy Trinity fan, if you want to talk about Chester C, I know someone to Sawyer Harmon, whatever you want to talk about with this movie, leave your comments down below. And if you have any suggestions of what I should watch next on Netflix or any other kind of movie, also leave those in the comments, and if I pick your movie and I review it, I will give you a shout out. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future What's on Netflix and other movie reviews, because that is what I like to do here. And as always, keep watching and stay absolutely fabulous.